What's up? This is the Game Forums Extended Forum, episode 27. I'm Zach,
And I'm Lindsay.
and today we have a short episode. We're really only going to be talking about the Atari new console that's going to be coming out. But first, what have you been playing this short week?
So, started playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I literally can't say enough good things about it.
Yep.
So far, I've only played 2 hours for our first impression, and y'all can head over there and check out what we think for more of a deeper dive.
Yeah.
But my first 2 hours, I got to say, I'm really blown away by this game. It is way better than I was expecting it to be. Like I said, I was just very surprised by it. Very pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah, I agree.
Then I played some more of Crossout for their Battle Pass system going on. They've still been having the soccer mode going on right now, so I got enough points in that to get the headlights and some of the other cosmetics I wanted. I'm getting close to finishing the Battle Pass now, so once I get through that, I'll probably put Crossout down for a little while and start jumping into some other stuff a little more regularly. And I just picked up Superluminal as well, and I haven't had a chance to play any yet, but I'm kind of intrigued to see exactly what that game looks like and plays like. It reminds me a lot of like Portal as far as like some of its gameplay mechanics. It's very like mess with the physics and backgrounds and stuff like that. It's got some really trippy mechanics. It was $20, so I figured I'd get it, try it, and see what I thought about it.
Yeah.
How about you, Zach? What have you been playing this week?
We did the Ghost of Tsushima first impressions, played the first 2 hours. Video should be up by now if you're listening to this. I loved it, absolutely adore it. Obviously we're only 2 hours in, so there's not much we can say about it, as it progresses. But first impressions, yeah, it is surpassed my expectations. It's beautiful. It seems to be well written, well acted. Other than that, I finished up A Plague Tale: Innocence. I had the last 2 chapters, and so I went through and finished that up. I didn't really like the ending. It kind of just like it just ended. You defeat the enemy, and then it's a happy ending. And it was kind of like it undersold the tone of the game, which was very messed up. There's a plague ravaging the town, the city. I guess at that point, like the country, and you're kind of on the cusp of like, is it going to, take Hugo, the little brother, or is it not? And it just kind of like it crescendos into a very awesome boss fight that I was not expecting. This is something that frustrates me is when a video game introduces new mechanics at like the very end, and so you're having to learn how to do something, in which case you are probably sucking at in a very like epic climactic moment that is like a boss fight, and it's like throwing something new at you, and it's like, okay, well, this is just frustrating now when it could have been really awesome. And so it kind of had that a little bit of a sour note with the boss fight, which was still kind of cool, like where the environment was. But then the story as it picked up, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, it was a good good ending. Everything worked out. They peaceful, family moved on, blah blah blah, kind of stuff. And it was like, I got the game for pretty cheap. I think I got it for like $18 when it was brand new. I think $40. So it was still time well spent. It wasn't very long. I'd say like maybe 8 to 10 hours long. I do intend on going back to platinum it, but with Ghost of Tsushima being out right now, that one's going to take up my time at least for the next few weeks. After that, I might go back and finish up games like The Last of Us Part 2 and get the platinum, just clean up some of the trophies. Same thing for A Plague Tale, but.
Are you gonna plan on doing a review on A Plague Tale then? It seems like one that's got some good potential, but kind of misses in a couple areas.
Yeah, no, I captured footage for it, so it is ready for review. I'm gonna knock out the Last of Us Part 2 review, and then I have a couple more games that are ready to be reviewed. I just gotta find the time to sit down and actually get those knocked out. But The Last of Us Part 2 will be the next review. Following that is either going to be A Plague Tale or The Outer Worlds, because I feel like the further away I'm getting from Outer Worlds, the more I'm forgetting. And
Yeah,
it's because it's like, oh yeah, I got to remember that. But I don't know. I have to see. I have to wait and see what I end up doing.
I gotcha. I guess getting into about the only news that came out this week, new console announced.
Yeah, yeah, brand
Um,
new console next gen.
yeah, uh, yeah, actually, kind of weird, but not
Yeah,
really what everyone's thinking.
yeah.
Atari just announced the Atari VCS 800 Onyx, which is a mouthful.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a newer Atari console that has okay specs. It can have games up to 4K resolution at FPS at 60 FPS. Um, but it looks like it's really only meant to play like classic, like Atari, like 2600 style games. It comes with like the old joystick and does have a newer controller. There is some talk like you might be able to put some newer games on here as well, but there's not really been a lot confirmed about it so far. It does sound like you might have the ability to have like Netflix and other streaming services on here as well, but I'm not really sure what they're trying to do here. Like, it's $400. That's like the pretty much the price of a brand new console.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand what they're going at. They are offering like some cool like personalization stuff that you can do to it. It looks like you can design your own apps. Whether or not that actually works or not, I don't know. It does say that it has an ever expanding Atari world of all new games and classics and remastered favorites. And so yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do, what these all new games are, and if they do have like a catalog that they're constantly rotating games in and out, or is it just going to be like they're building and building and building into, maybe at one point it will be kind of worth it, especially with the ability to like stream Netflix and other apps similar to that. But for $400 in the middle of a pandemic, when new consoles that are going to blow this one out of the water, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I don't know. Atari hasn't done anything like this in years. They haven't had a console in forever.
I think
And
the last console they had was the Atari Jaguar, and that was been like
yeah,
forever ago. I would like to see more, companies get into the console market to give Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo some competition, but I I don't really feel like this is the way they should go about doing it. Like
yeah,
they definitely need to be able to bring more games to the table or at least have a lot cheaper price tag because when you can go out and get like a PlayStation 4 for cheaper than you can get this, I feel like that's kind of a hard sell.
yeah. It's I guess in a way, like if you were to go and buy, the proper Atari system with the games, it would cost a lot more because those are harder to find. So I guess they are offering a option for maybe like older gamers that grew up with those systems to be like, oh hey, yeah, I'll pick this up. It reminds me of my childhood, but it's like I don't know. Overall, this system reminds me of the Ouya. You remember that? The Ouya?
Yeah, I remember that one was going to play like mobile games off like the was it Google Play Store though.
Yeah, yeah,
And I mean, there's a ton of games with that. And I mean, really, a lot of mobile games are getting, around like PS3, early PS4 era graphics now. But with this, I just think that's a bit of a hard sell for me. Um, if this was $200, came with a whole bunch of Atari games, had a guaranteed lineup of, future games coming out, then that'd be one thing. But for $400, pretty much only locked into Atari games and no real clear way to show that you're going to have access to all sorts of other games. Like, let's say Atari had a deal with Steam or had a deal with, Epic Game Store where you could download games off their platforms, then yeah, I could see where this would be really interesting. But right now, I see it as kind of a mix between like, one of the PlayStation or Nintendo classic consoles they launched with a handful of games
yeah.
and like a Roku for the price of like a PlayStation 4. and
Yeah.
I just don't see it being justifiable.
Yeah, it's a odd choice. This definitely should have been much cheaper. I mean, even like with the Ouya, I think it launched at like $100, which I mean, obviously they're mobile games, and there is a nostalgic factor to this, and this may end up being a bit of a novelty, but it's an odd choice. And wasn't it Sega that is coming out with those tiny handhelds that are like ridiculously expensive?
Yes.
So it's I don't know what they're doing. They're capitalizing on nostalgia, and I don't know if it's going to work or not.
I mean, they'll definitely make some money there. I mean, I liked a lot of older Atari games. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong. I had an Atari Jaguar. Um, but just for the price here, I just think it's too much. I'm like, if this was, like I said, if this was $200, they had all those games on it, and they had some kind of lineup showing there's going to be a future of games in the works, then I'd say okay. But I think right now they're trying to almost be a little predatory and really capitalize on people's nostalgia and, really get that money while they can before these new consoles launch. Uh, like I said, just makes me feel a little uncomfortable.
yeah. And is it Atari the company that is getting hotels in Las Vegas? Was it Sega or was it Atari? I think it might be Atari.
I think it was Atari because Atari's done a couple other spin-off ventures. Um, with some other things like that as well. And they still make games, like they still make newer games as well. They haven't
Yeah,
stopped making games. Um, so I don't know. Like I said, maybe they'll have some new big releases and we'll have them playable on the Atari console as well. I don't
yeah.
know. This is one we're going to have to just check back in on at a later date and see what they've done with it.
Yeah, I have seen that it says that it will retail exclusive at GameStop. So, that's good. That's good for them. GameStop is a up and coming and thriving store. It's doing really well. So
They're gonna
we'll
have to
see how
really
that
rush
goes.
to get this thing out before GameStop closes forever.
Yeah, yeah. This was a bad deal in the making from the beginning, apparently. So,
All right, tell us what you guys think
ugh.
about the new Atari console in the comments down below. Until next time, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.